What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 51. Part 51 of my reviewing and ranking Frank Zappa's guitar solos within the context of an album. This album, a box set, Over-nite Sensation, 50th anniversary. I'm going to rank what I believe, I think I've got them all, 21 guitar solos, just based on my liking of them. And then I'm going to rank this album compared to the other 50 to see how it ranks according to guitar solos only. I love this album. I love this box set. Friggin' amazing. Realizing doing this little video in preparation for it, having listened to these solos and for the past just about a month right now, it's not because of Frank's guitar playing. Frank's guitar playing is good. At times it's absolutely fantastic, especially when he's doing more rhythm work and stuff like that. But the guitar solos, there's a lot. Frank's developing. He's like, you can see the direction he's going in. I don't quite think he's there yet. In this review, I'm also going to include the solos I previously did from Over-nite Sensation, the studio album. I did those when this release was announced. But since that album is included in the box set, I'm going to include those solos in this list. Back in the late 90s, I did a web page under the name Foggy G. That was a fish nickname I had because of a sign I made that said, "I'm foggy, rather groggy. Won't you help me in my shit? Won't you help me in the show?" Helped me get a lot of Miracle tickets back in the day, mostly for other people. But I wrote this about this tour. I did a breakdown of every single tour based on audio tapes, based on bootleg cassette tapes. I kind of agree with what I wrote. I agree with the first half. I'm going to say something halfway through it I completely disagree with. I'm going to blame it on the quality of the tapes. But what I wrote was, if I had to pick one aspect of this tour that I enjoy more than anything else, it would have to be Frank's guitar work. Not his solos, mind you, but his rhythm work. Throughout this tour, the one thing that pops into my ears and continually makes me sit up and go, yeah, is Frank's active and long overlooked rhythm guitar playing. While this aspect of his playing is essentially non-existent from 76 on, it is a contributing factor in the tours of the early 70s, and it is on this tour where it simply excels. For the best example of Frank's excellence in this field, pop in any Mr. Green Jeans medley from this tour. There is one on this release. And just listen to Frank go. He is everywhere, especially in the monstrous King Kong variations, in which Frank takes the most pedestrian solos and lifts them to exhilarating levels. Quite a treat. On the other side of the fence, and I disagree with this 100% now, decades later, out in front leading the pack, Frank is no slouch. He kind of is. He takes a couple lengthy workouts each show. Unfortunately, the rhythm section tends to be rather nondescript, and thus the success of any given solo rests heavily on Frank's shoulders. That is wrong. The rhythm section is ridiculous. Humphreys, Fowler, Duke, whatever he contributes, amazing. The slouch in this part, it's Frank. A lot of these solos kind of sound the same. They start off with this really thin, almost meek sound. After Frank starts getting some momentum and has an idea where he's going to go, or if he doesn't know where he's going to go but needs inspiration, he'll switch to like a wah sound or a more distorted sound, or things just get a little bit grittier, and then we're off. The rhythm section generally lays low in that thin section and then gets a little more adventurous and weird and monstrous once Frank does. But I do think in a lot of these solos, the more interesting parts are the rhythm sections. What Fowler and Humphreys are doing, what Duke is contributing, all fantastic. So yeah, not Frank's best outing guitar solo-wise, but this is still a stupid, fantastic release. Anyways, on to ranking the solos. I think I counted 21 of them, so I hope I didn't miss anything. I'm not counting the beginning of For the Young Sophisticate, which is fantastic, which could be included as a solo. It's about 21 seconds of Frank just going off, and then he continues to go off throughout the song, but it's not really a solo proper. And I'm also not counting the beginnings of I'm the Slime, which also can have a little rave up in the beginning. Those I'm not counting. 21, I'm the Slime, the single version, just fades out way too quickly. Just kind of a quick little tease, and then we're gone. Yeah. Number 20 is Redunzel, the 1973 mix. Love the rhythm work, the bass and the drums, but it's really short solo, kind of doesn't really go anywhere. Frank still doesn't really know what he's going to do with Redunzel at this point, but Tom and Ralph, good. 19, I'm the Slime, the basic track outtake. This one, again, that thin, meek sound just doesn't go anywhere. The sound kind of doesn't help Frank a lot of times. Number 18 is Redunzel Take 2. Nice patient vibe on the solo. It seems like Frank stumbles like midway through it and goes for a note and misses. It really just feels like he's like, no, it doesn't work. And there's this weird little moment where he kind of gathers himself and then retakes off. Again, it's way too short. Just early Redunzels, Frank's still figuring out. Not that interesting. I mean, it's interesting, but not really. Dirty Love with quad guitar. Really thin sounding, little lengthier solo. Kind of interesting, but whatever. Number 16 is Dirty Love, the session rehearsal. Immediately we're in the solo. I think we're missing whatever the song is. So the song starts off pretty much with a solo, a much heavier effect. It just feels a little bit heavier. It's not the greatest solo, but there's a little more energy, a little more attack, and really it comes right away in this track. So that's kind of interesting. Number 15 is Cosmic Debris from the May 12th show. We jump right into it. That really thin sound. Frank tries to get overly aggressive once the turn comes. It's just kind of Frank doing what Frank normally does in a Cosmic Debris solo. Number 14, the I'm the Slime off Over-nite Sensation. The fade out on this stabs me in the heart every time it happens. It's a crime. It's a criminal act. Where are my notes from Over-nite Sensation? What did I write about this solo? I think I just wrote it just hurts the fade out. On this, it just hurts. Just typically great. Good energy. It just fades out, and that kind of hurts my heart. 13, X Forts, an Echidna's Arf of You, essential instrumental jazz version of this. With a nice sort of Frank tiptoeing in type after a little bass solo. Frank kind of tiptoes in and really, I don't know if it's a very clean electric or like an amplified acoustic, but it's a very, again, kind of a thin acoustic sound. It's an interesting solo. Don't know how great it is, but just the song itself, the track itself, the way this version of Echidna's is played is interesting. The whole vibe is really interesting. I don't know if the solo fits in on there. So it's an interesting solo. Number 12, Montana off the May 23rd show. It just starts low, very deep at first, but also kind of thin. Then Frank digs in. He's still kind of figuring Montana's out early. It's not quite as funky and swaying and awesome as it would be by the end of 73. Still pretty good. Cosmic Debris from 323 is number 11. Nice, solid, bluesy Cosmic Debris solo. And almost once we get to the turn and Frank kind of goes in a different direction, it feels like he's going more inspirational and uplifting. And just has a little more positive energy than that one from the May 12th show. I think Frank's more in the pocket on this one and riding out in the best way. Now we get to the top 10. Top 10, that Dirty Love solo from Over-nite Sensation, the album. Short, sweet, does the trick, no disappointment. Great job, Frank. You needed more really short solos just to love it. Number 9, the 50-50 solo from Over-nite Sensation. Also another really good, awesome sound, awesome tone, really good energy. The studio solos, Frank's bringing them. Number 8, Don't You Wash That Thing from May 23rd. This is, what did I write on that? Again, this is another one where we have this really sort of thin sound, and then we get this weird rhythmic dance in the middle where things are getting kind of weird, and the rhythm section kind of sounds like it's breaking down a little. And we get a little similar to what we'd get like at the end of 74 when Thompson was on drums. And then we kind of regather the energy and frantically kind of finish off before we get this really, it's not technically part of the solo, but Frank tries to lead us back into an Echidna's Arf of You sort of run through. And so he's kind of leading it with guitar, and then the band comes in and Frank's adding guitar throughout. Really interesting. Again, I'm not sure how great of an actual guitar solo it is, and whether if you didn't know Frank's guitar playing, you'd walk away going, man, he's a great guitar player. But it's really interesting. Number 7, the Palladium Jam Part 2 from March 23rd. If I was including every time Frank played guitar on this, it'd probably be ranked higher. There's sort of two little short 30 to 40-second solos throughout this jam, but Frank's on guitar the whole way, leading it off with this awesome little riff that sounds pre-written, but also maybe he's just making it up on the spot, sort of this riff that kind of gives the jam sort of this structure, and a bunch of people solo over it. Frank drops a couple solos in it amidst the singing and other people doing crazy stuff. Another one that, again, his rhythm work is probably the highlight of it, but there's a couple interesting solos. And I'm going to put the entire song because Frank's guitar is kind of just seeping through the whole thing. And number 7. Number 6 is Chunga's Revenge from the May 12th show. Really strong Chungas. This is good energy. Frank's hitting it pretty, starts again, slow, patient, kind of thin sound. Then we add some wah, we build the intensity. The rhythm section's doing fantastic work. Still really good, solid Chunga's Revenge. Number 5, Dupree's Paradise. Usually a Dupree's would rank much higher for me, but this one is just, it's your typical Dupree's. Frank is kind of exploring ideas. The rhythm section, even though Frank is kind of tiptoeing in early and taking it easy, the rhythm section is a very kind of just kind of controlling its energy, franticness that the best Dupree's Paradises have. Get a really busy groove while Frank is just, kind of slowly picking up steam, and we're kind of just getting more and more intense as it goes on. Doesn't really explore areas Frank hasn't explored in other Dupree's Paradises better, but it's a Dupree, so it's always interesting. Number 4 is Big Swifty from the March 23rd show. Again, starts off kind of slow. The energy from the first solos in this are just fantastic, and Frank just can't deny it. He has this part early on where he's just playing on the low notes over and over and just kind of repeating them and kind of just gathering momentum before he takes off on the rest of the solo. The rhythm section is just absolutely amazing. We kind of shift gears towards the end and things get a little more just hectic and kind of just jumpy as we go towards the Big Swifty coda, the finale, whatever, the second half, the last part of the song. Good energy in this. I think maybe the energy is better than the actual playing itself, but the energy is so good in the entire thing. It's a really good listen. Number 3, the last of the live tracks, The Curse of the Zomboids, I'm the Slime from March 23rd. Frank introduces this as possibly the next Willie the Pimp. And that's what it should have been. And that's what this version feels like. Feels like you get an I'm the Slime, and then we go into the solo section, and Frank, it feels like a Willie the Pimp solo where he's got an idea and he's going to do it for a minute or so. Then he's going to shift gears and do another idea for a minute as the rhythm section follows. And then he's going to shift gears and do another idea. And we're kind of getting that in this solo. I mean, it doesn't last super long, but it's definitely longer than I'm the Slime solos would eventually evolve to being. It's got a great energy. It's got a great vibe. It feels like it could be the natural successor to Willie the Pimp if Frank devoted, said, hey, if we play on the Slime, we're going to need 7 to 8 minutes because we got like 2.5 minutes on, then I'm going to solo for 5. That's the way it should have been. This shows the potential that was not fully realized. But the energy is good. The idea is good. He's got a nastier sound when he starts off, and then he thins it out later on. So that's a nice kind of, definitely, a nice contrast to what was happening on the rest of them. Number 2 and number 1 are both off the original album. Number 2 is Montana. Super funky. Love the groove. Love the energy. Love the playing. Talk more about it on that Over-nite Sensation video. And then number 1, one of my all-time favorite Frank solos. If I had made a video of my all-time favorite Frank solos, and I think I did, Zombie Wolf, the studio version from Over-nite Sensation, is probably going to be on that list because that's a fantastic solo. And that is, sadly, I guess, because I already owned it and had heard it for decades, I think the Zombie Wolf solo is the best solo on this release. And I think the Montana solo is the best, second best. The stuff Frank's bringing the rest of the time, live, he's just not quite there yet. And then his stuff that's in the rehearsals and the studios, it's kind of filler. It's just kind of exploring ideas. But where would I rank this album if I had to rank it among the others? Right there, it's all the way at 36. It's definitely in the latter third. It's just the solos are not bringing it. It does contain the ones from Over-nite Sensation, though, which jumps in at number 22, but It's got a bunch of stuff which brings it back down towards the end. So that's where I would rank it. But anyways, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts on this album, on these solos in particular. I have talked about the album elsewhere on this channel if you're interested. They were immediate reaction videos. I listened to a disc, then immediately filmed my reaction to it. So weren't reaction videos per se, but they were immediate reaction videos per se, if you're interested. But thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, and go listen to this box set. It is a fantastic box set, people. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.